Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Welcome on the show. Now, of course, you had the pleasure of watching the Champions League match last night between Manchester City at the Etihad against Bayern Munich, a European powerhouse who have won the Champions League 7 times but are currently going through a changeover of management, with Thomas Tuchel taking over his first Champions League match for the Bavarians. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out as well the board in Bayern Munich would have hoped, as Manchester City appeared in total control in a surgical second-half dismantling of Bayern Munich on Tuesday, April 11th. But Pep Guardiola looked aghast when a reporter asked if it was the most comfortable he and his team have felt this season. Nevertheless, City took a huge step towards a first Champions League title with a 3-0 victory over the visiting German powerhouse in the first leg of the quarterfinals. Scoring machine Erling Haaland netted his 45th goal of the campaign, a single-season record for a Premier League player in his maiden campaign. Rodri with a highlight reel strike, and Bernardo Silva also scored, taking City's extraordinary goal differential to 34-3 in their last 9 games. Still, Guardiola said there would be no resting easy until they have faced his former team at Allianz Arena next Wednesday, April 19th. I am joined on the line once again by Monday Thomas, all the way from Abuja, a sports analyst, here to discuss what this means for Manchester City, this 3-0 scoreline. Monday.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to join you on Plus Sports. It's a fantastic morning, a morning after we saw Manchester City running rampant against a team I will call European disciplinary team, Bayern Munich. Before yesterday's game, they had gone 8 games, conceding just 2 goals. But a night at the Etihad is a night they will not forget in this UEFA Champions League campaign, conceding 3 goals. It was a bonkers game from the first blast of the whistle. Manchester City showing their intent in the first 45 minutes. What a strike from Rodri. But Pep Guardiola is a professional coach, and he knows what football is all about. He knows that in a tie where you have 2 legs, that one leg cannot settle it. But for me, I think Manchester City through to the semi-finals. We know Pep Guardiola is very good with the mind games. He's trying to let or give Bayern Munich a chance that they should maybe just feel they're still in this. But if you look at it, I don't think they have a chance. Thomas Tuchel got it absolutely wrong. How can you not start Thomas Müller? How can you not start Sadio Mane, someone who has played against?
But Sadio Mane hasn't scored since October, and he's just making it back from injury. But we've seen great European comebacks. Nights in Europe where it looked like it was all done, but then something happened. The skies opened up, and the gods of football smiled on the underdog team, and they came from way, way, way behind, beyond what anyone thought was possible. We saw that with Real Madrid against Chelsea 2 seasons ago. We saw that again with the same Real Madrid against PSG in the second leg. We saw that famously with Liverpool versus AC Milan in 2006. Of course, there's the Roma versus Barcelona match that we could talk about, even Liverpool versus Barcelona. So, of course, it's not impossible, but it's highly improbable. However, there is a factor of the home crowd advantage that could serve as the 12th man for Bayern Munich back at the Allianz Arena. Will that make any bit of difference to the potential for them to recapture the magic they so lost in this game against Manchester City?
Well, they didn't lose any magic. I think their defense was just a porous on the night. The attack was very sharp. On for the brilliant saves of Ederson Morris in the first few minutes of the second 45 minutes. I think 5 minutes would have thrown level and maybe get into the game as the lead. But the brilliance of Edison Morris saving Leroy Sané's fantastic strike, and the defense on the night was not good enough. Upamecano had a horrific night in at the Etihad Stadium, and the night you will certainly forget. I'm thankful you said that the gods of football, there's some days they can just smile at the underdogs. Bayern Munich are no underdogs, even though in this tie they look like the underdogs. They are not the underdogs. Manchester City will still think that they are the favorites, and they will not let any room for
A lot,
complacency. They will not let
listen,
any room for underrating Bayern Munich. They will go into that tie equally matched. And that's why I
obviously,
said
a lot
that
can happen between now
Bayern
and
Munich do
next
not have
week.
a chance in this game,
Um,
in the second leg.
Monday, a lot can happen between now and next week. We could hear of a ton of injury news for Manchester City. The Erling Haaland certainly probably had his best game for Manchester City this season, scoring a goal and finally getting an assist to his name. But regarding Upamecano, as much as I do love Thomas Tuchel as a tactician, I believe he's one of the best tacticians in Europe. Some would have said that it might have been better for Julian Nagelsmann to be allowed to finish out the season, even if the board had resigned to letting him go. He probably had created a shorthand with these players, a more greater understanding of their tactical capacity going into this game against Manchester City. Have the board made a terrible mistake in sacking Julian Nagelsmann so early with such a big game so close around the corner?
Why Julian Nagelsmann, one of the finest, youngest managers in world football, was not just a terrible decision, but it came from a worst timing. This is the worst timing in the history of timing. Now, I'm not just saying that because Julian Nagelsmann was still in the it was still in a chance to win a treble for Bayern Munich. He was second on the log in the Bundesliga. They were still in the DFB Pokal Cup. They were still in the UEFA Champions League. And all of a sudden, Thomas Tuchel comes in and wins the Klassiker, and we're all very wild. And what happened in the next game? They lost against Freiburg, crashing out of the DFB Pokal Cup, and now they're all on the verge of losing it in the UEFA Champions League. It was a terrible mistake from the start, and the reason why Julian Nagelsmann was fired was not even performance based. There were arguments, there was some bickering about him dating a German journalist, and they were not happy about that.
Yeah.
Maybe they were thinking the German journalist was going to act like a Bayern Munich mole, and that's why he was fired. It was embarrassing. You shouldn't let emotions come into football. You should be very rational when you're making decisions. And I think the Bayern Munich board, led by the former player Oliver Kahn, where they were not very rational
Is
with
there
that
any
decision, and it was a
tactical
great mistake.
is there any tactical difference Julian Nagelsmann could have made on the night to shore up what was a bunch of individual errors from the defense for Bayern?
This is what happened last night. I understand. I understand fairly. He wanted to match City for their kind of football. Now City play very fast football, although they don't have really quick players, but they move the ball very fast. Now Thomas Tuchel wanted to match their kind of football. He wanted to beat them at their game. Something very fast players. The likes of Serge Gnabry started in front. He also started Leroy Sané and as well as Kingsley Coman. These are speed demons. They've got what it takes to outrun any defense. But when you play against Manchester City, you don't want to beat them at their game. They're very good in possessive football. They're very good in creating chances. All you need to do is just keep them in control for at least the first 45 minutes, and you can disrupt their plans in the second half. But Bayern Munich wanted to give us an entertaining football because it was a very tasty fixture. Bayern Munich went at it and they got what they deserved. And of course, the defense line was trying to play from the back as well. They were trying to play City's football, knocking it from the back, Pep Guardiola's football, tiki taka in his coaching days at Barcelona. But that couldn't work. Upamecano losing the ball. Even before losing the ball, we saw mistakes from Jan Sommer, who was also very good in goal, but on the feet, he wasn't as prolific. So I think the Bayern Munich's backline just let them down. And I'm gonna stick with my guns. I think Thomas Tuchel should have started Müller because Müller is good with the hold-up play. Müller will not be running so fast. He'll be a little bit calculated. He'll be a little bit technical, and that's what Bayern Munich needed on the night.
Well, that all said well and done now. What did you make of the tactical choice? Because Pep Guardiola has been accused of overthinking at times, but in this game it worked to a T. Playing John Stones in a hybrid right back slash defensive midfielder position. He could drop in as a right back when the team was out of possession and could move forward into a midfield position when the team was out of it to contribute to greater control of the possession. Come the next game, he will probably throw in another couple of tweaks in his tactical setup. Is this the season for Man City to finally get the coveted Champions League trophy they've been so determined to get under Pep Guardiola?
That is now the biggest question right now. And I don't have the answer to it. The only person that has the answer to that question is Pep Guardiola and the Manchester City Army. But I think if they do the right things, if they do what is doable, they can win the title. I mean, it's what Pep Guardiola has been criticized for. I mean, since his glory days at Barcelona with the help of Lionel Messi and the likes of Luis Suarez, they won the Champions League the last time out, but he has been eluded of that trophy, having spent over 1.5 billion as a Manchester City boss, but the Champions League still eludes him. And also in his coaching days at the German Bundesliga, where he won the Bundesliga 3 times with Bayern Munich, but couldn't win the Champions League despite the fact that he had so many stars. So City are desperately in need of this trophy. Right, and that's why I said that Bayern Munich will not have a chance of making it to the semifinals because City are desperately in need, and they now have the semifinals in their hands. Okay, let me finish.
Sorry, we have to move. We have to move on
to
the next story, unfortunately. I understand where you're coming from, and we'll see what happens next week.